Hey, welcome to today's video. I am going to be demonstrating a mashup of hatching methods with ink to create a set of lips that are really fun. You might want to follow along or just watch to get ideas. I'm going to be just using a simple ultrafine point brown Sharpie to do this, so you can pick any ink pen that works for you, but that's what I'll be using today. In another video on the channel, I demonstrated hatching methods where I showed what is a parallel hatching method, cross hatching, a contour, like how to use the curve of your line to create shape and form, a tic hatching method, scribbles, stippling, and woven, like a basket weave hatch. And so check out that video if you want to see exactly how I did these and my thoughts concerning them and their use. But today I'm gonna move right on in to creating a set of lips with the mashup of all of these hatchings, just so that you can see them in motion. So first thing you're gonna wanna do is get, paper, notebook, sketchbook that you feel okay doing Sharpie, because sometimes Sharpie does bleed through, so I have a fairly thick weight of paper. Once you've got your supplies ready, we'll get sketching. I'm gonna speed up some parts that I don't have much to say and then slow down in the areas where I use one of the techniques. So here we go. Okay, I've got the basic sketch outline of my lips, and the first hatch technique that I'm gonna do in this mashup is the parallel hatching. The parallel hatching that go all in one straight line, and I'm gonna stay fairly straight, even though there is gonna be a lot of contour with these lips. I'll start adding the contour later. The first thing I'm gonna do is just get some hatching going. And I'm starting in the area that it's darkest, making them fairly close together. I'll also be adding cross hatching in these areas soon, but I'm just getting going with some hatching. Now, one thing with these particular lips that might actually help me visually is to get, like, this area here is gonna be all blacked out. It's where the lips are opening. And it might just help me to get that pretty dark right away. When I create illustrations, pen and ink, I call it dancing around the image. I don't choose just like one place. Sometimes I don't even start in what might even be considered the correct place. I just get going, and then my eye will see something and I'll be like, oh, I need the darkness there to help me forward. And so that's kind of what happened to me there. Is I was working away at the hatching, and then I thought, oh, I need to really block that in. And so now I'm cross hatching over this, and I've got like a good base, and then I'm actually gonna scribble a little. We'll come back to this and scribble again at the end. We'll really get that space dark. Making them fairly close together in some areas that I know will be dark, but you can see that even in the direction that I'm hatching, I'm starting to create contour just by having these lines point out in different ways. So I'm going to give myself some dots just to indicate where I'm gonna have highlights, real highlighted areas on these particular lips. And I'm just dotting in some squares for myself that give me a visual like, hey, Mary Janelle, don't fill in this spot. And that is not normal. That's just kind of like a me technique. So now I'm gonna just continue on with some of these hatchings. I do go outside the lines on purpose with my hatching. I like the lips to turn out really soft and loose and flowy. So I'm just letting my eyes dance around. Where do I see spots that I want hatching? I am thinking, even though these are parallel lines, I am thinking in terms of form. And so I'm having the parallel lines that I'm making point in the direction that I feel the curve would take our eye. Now I'll start doing some longer, more graceful hatches. I'm beginning to curve, so at this point I would say that I'm doing the contour hatching. And even though I'm doing the long, graceful ones, I'm really trying to get some curve into this. And it kind of happened naturally. I started out sort of creating parallel ones like this, and then I just began to see, okay, there's a curve here. I want to create curve here. So it's really just kind of important to keep your eyes open. And of course, then I start to dance around with a few scribbles. And sometimes I'll just reinforce edges and lines with just some scribbles and just like going over the lines again. Even up in here, I'll see something and be like, oh, I'm gonna just reinforce that spot. So now moving along, I think it's time to do some cross hatching. And the edges of the lips get really dark, and then there's sort of a dark area in here that I want to make. And so I'm gonna do some more hatching in these outer edges of the lips. And I'm creating the hatching just so that I have something to cross hatch with. And now that I've got some hatching, I'm gonna go back in and go a different direction. Now, I'd say that my style and the way that I approach this is very loose and playful. There are artists who they do hatching methods in a really refined, more methodical way. And if you want to learn that style with a little bit more realism and very close, detailed intention behind hatching, then I would say that I'm not your gal to learn from, because I would say it's a really free method, and I'm restraining myself while I make this video. I'm restraining myself from, like, I would typically move from method to method. Like I'd be hatching and scribbling and stippling and hatching and scribbling. And I do a lot of mashups that way. And I'm restraining myself a bit just for the effort of showing you my methods. But typically I would really be all over the place doing what I see needs to happen. There you go. I just did a little scribble. So you saw me adding in the cross hatching here towards the corners. I'm going to bring that method down to the lower lip, do some crossing. You know, when you stop and think about it, what you're really doing is creating form with the ink marks. And every step of the way, you really have to think form. Like, which direction am I pulling this eye? How is the flow of this piece? Where is that shadow? Where am I making it darker? And that is truly what we're doing with these ink markings. And And then I'm gonna do some little bit of back and forth scribble there. I just wanted to really just block in some color, some value, I should say. Okay, so we've done some hatching, cross hatching, contours, and I kind of got in a little bit into the scribbles. So let's go with some more scribbling. So I want to just kind of begin to loosen the edges of my lips. I'm gonna scribble a little. And then I want to bring a little bit of shadow down under here. The scribbling. And then I will do some of what we called the woven hatching, where we sort of interlock. Now this is really off the lips, more of a background thing I'm doing here, but it does kind of just make it appear like there's a bit of a face, a face on the lips. And then now I've kind of loosened it up, and I'm gonna go back in and just reinforce all my lights and darks. And it's almost like going and putting a second once over on everything and just seeing what I do like and don't like. I am happy with, for the most part, where the light is shining, but I do also see that I can just kind of reinforce the highlights by making some of the darks darker. And if we were going to be using the stippling, they would be dots instead of all the markings. And then I also want to just quickly demonstrate the tick markings, the ones that are just like tiny little tick marks. They would be like this type of marking. So that about wraps up my mashup of hatch methods in one set of lips. I hope you found this video interesting and helpful. Maybe you even followed along with your Sharpie. And just as an ending bonus to this video, I'm gonna do a little bit of just some shading with a couple of alcohol markers that are lighter in value to my Sharpie. So I'll put the actual colors of these Ohuhu alcohol art markers in the description box below. If I have any affiliate links, they'll be clearly marked. But basically what you're gonna wanna do is pick out really anything. It could be watercolor, it could be gouache, it could be alcohol markers, or just any kind of medium that is lighter than the Sharpie. And we'll just create some dimension using a couple of lighter shades. So this is, I'd say, one step lighter. I'm using the chiseled edge, and I'm getting in to the areas that we wanted to create shadow, and I'm using this to blend the Sharpie. Now this isn't necessary. I was really happy with the Sharpie piece, even without adding any other medium, but I like it. It's fun, and I really like to demonstrate it on the channel. And then we'll use a marker that is even a couple of steps lighter than the last one. And this will be used to just blend even a little bit more. We're using the white of the paper as the main highlight. And there we go. If you feel like you do need to lighten up any areas again, you could use a gel pen, like a jelly roll pen that is white, or some white gouache, and add back in some highlights if you felt like you got too dark. But this demonstrates the mashup of the hatching techniques. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the bell, subscribe, share with a friend. Leave a comment below and let me know if you're going to be trying any of these techniques yourself and how the video inspired you. I look forward to seeing you around the channel. There's lots more scribble technique videos, and as well alcohol markers, gouache, paint, and many visual arts tutorials here on my channel. Until next time, happy creating.